Believe it or not, Carson Wentz is entering the final year of his rookie contract, and that's sort of absurd to say. Whether it's because his play is so exhilarating, or maybe it's because both of the last 2 seasons have been cut short by horrible injuries, it certainly doesn't feel like Carson Wentz is almost at the end of his first contract in the NFL, but that does mean the Eagles have one last rent-free year to extract every bit of juice they can from their franchise quarterback. But the question is, should they be looking to extend Carson Wentz now as opposed to looking at the 5th year option or something like that a little bit further down the line? Now, I've written an article about this before at phillysportsnetwork.com, but after the NFL owners meetings, both Jeffrey Lurie and Doug Peterson spoke very highly of their quarterback, as expected, and Howie Roseman especially said that a contract extension with Carson Wentz and securing that long-term future is something they're working towards. But in what capacity should that be? Well, my name is Liam Jenkins. You can follow me on Twitter at LiamJenkins21, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. If you are new around here though, guys, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and leaving a like, and let me know what you think the Eagles should do in this situation. Now, I don't think at this point I need to justify why the Eagles should extend Carson Wentz. It's become inherently clear that he is the future of this franchise. I don't need to tell you about his statistics or his touchdown to interception ratio or air yards or anything. He's passed the eye test for nearly every single one of you watching this video. But that doesn't take away the fact that there are almost 2 sides to Carson Wentz. On one, you've got a man that, despite all of this overwhelming circumstances of rehabbing an ACL, having a new offensive coordinator, which we'll get to later, of being so important in this season, having a few different offensive pieces kind of go up and down as a result, and having the team battle some severe adversity, still set a new career high in completion percentage with 69%. In fact, his 2018 season literally mirrored Tom Brady's 2017 MVP campaign, and of course, before he got injured in 2017, he would have been the MVP. On the other side of that though, you've got a man who has suffered 2 season-ending injuries, whose play has often been erratic, and he isn't really his own best friend when he's out on the field and can make some very strange decisions that open himself up to potential hits and knocks and injuries. Wentz is a true leader of this team. I mean, the fact he's taken offensive linemen out to dinner kind of says all you need to know. The fans adore him. He adores this team. It is a loving relationship. It's mutual. There is nothing to at all say that Carson Wentz shouldn't be the future of the Philadelphia Eagles, other than the fact that durability hasn't been on his side. And if there is a 3rd season where the value of a backup is somehow more important than the value of a franchise guy, that's when questions will start to be asked. But it's in that notion that I position to you, is it not the best time for the Eagles to extend Carson Wentz? Think about it. The Eagles have far more leverage in a contract negotiation right now because the argument Wentz would have to make is that much more in depth. If you're Howie Roseman, you're going to need a sense of security that Wentz is going to be the guy moving forward, that those lingering injuries aren't going to come back. Durability, I understand to an extent, has been a concern, although nowhere near as badly back to his time at North Dakota State. You're going to want some sort of serenity, as any team would in their franchise quarterback. So making the case to be a $200 million man is a lot harder to do. If you're Carson Wentz, you've got to look at this with your agent and say, alright, how do we prove to this team that, forget the fact that we've been injured twice, forget that bizarre article that came out questioning leadership, how can I prove I am the guy for this team moving forward 100%, no doubts whatsoever, double down on me, I'm your guy. As of right now, the plan surely for Wentz and his agent has got to be, you know what, you're coming back healthy with an offensive coordinator you've now had a year experience with, you'll have a full off season with, your teammates, a full off season with the new guys on the team which you didn't have last year, go out, ball like we know you can, and if he sets career highs again, it is game over for the Eagles because they're going to have to pay a ridiculous sum of money. If Wentz goes and balls out in 2019, like so many are theorising that he will, let's not forget, he ranks inside the top 10 in touchdowns thrown from 2017 to 2018. The man is an absolute machine. So if he goes out and has a week 1 to week 16 stretch where he's totally healthy, and of course going into the playoffs as well, the Eagles won't have a leg to stand on. They're going to have to pay him or take up that 5th year option, and that's where the money is going to start snowballing. So to me it makes sense. Like if you're Howie Roseman, the value of extending Carson Wentz is there right now. Of course you know what he can do. You've seen him carry teams down the stretch. You've seen him go into the 4th quarter. You've seen what he can do in those big time situations. You don't need any more visual proof. It's just this old argument that is Carson Wentz going to be almost durable enough. If the Eagles let all of this hang in the balance, and this is going to be the big one, that Dak Prescott is going to be in a similar situation. Murmurs of a big time, a big time Dak contract extension have been swirling around Jerry World for months now. And if Dak Prescott gets more money first, if the Cowboys jump the gun and they sign Dak Prescott now, and that is only going to enhance Carson Wentz's value, then Howie Roseman is going to have it all backed up against him. Then it's doubling down one way or the other. From this point on, it's a double down move. Either you double down on Carson Wentz right now and you say, this is my guy, we're getting the most value for him now, or you double down on the fact that you can get more if his form fizzles out and you extend him after. It's a tough call to play, because if the Cowboys get to Dak first and Dak Prescott gets a monumental contract, which, given the Cowboys and how they value him and that they seem to mess up these decisions, that could be a new league-leading contract for the position. Carson Wentz would have to eclipse that. There is no other way. It has to get better. And if you're Howie Roseman, what do you do in that situation? The one man I would compare Carson Wentz to in this situation is going to be Andrew Luck. Now, I said a year ago, Andrew Luck will come out and be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And everyone doubted it because of what happened to him previously, because of those injuries, because his offensive line was literally as useful as a flannel in a flash flood. He comes out, he gets a big time payday, and you look at what he has done in the 2 years since, and under Frank Reich, what he's been able to do in that offense. He was firing at a rate that I've never seen him before once he got that arm strength back. It was phenomenal. Carson Wentz is in a similar spot, and Andrew Luck is set to make around $27 million during the next year or two. So Luck is set to make $27 in 2019, $28 million the year after, and $21 the year after that, though it's a potential out after 2019. It would not surprise me to see Carson Wentz eclipse that value. Now, the risk you run, again, is if you don't do it this year, if you let Carson Wentz play and he balls out, and there's a very strong chance he gets MVP, then what you're looking at is a very different conversation. Then you're paying for what you've already got. As of right now, we've seen what Wentz can do. Will he do it? You're paying for that potential, right? The minute Wentz goes out, and if he gets an MVP award, if he leads his team to the playoffs, if he stays healthy for a full 16-game window, then you're paying for what you've got. And what you've got is an elite quarterback that's proven it over the last 3 years. So whether it's 2016 in a rookie year where he wasn't supposed to start, he was not meant to be the starter, he was meant to shadow Sam Bradford, a shock trade sparked it all, and then you end up with Wentz rolling into week 1 with the receivers going, well, hang on, we've spent an entire offseason rolling with Sam Bradford. Now we've got to adjust to all these rhythms and tendencies of Carson Wentz, and that's why he settled with Jordan Matthews, and that's why he settled with Trey Burton early on, because they were familiar targets. 2017, the year that everyone remembers, that MVP campaign, as many view it, he was absolutely incredible. From his ability to throw on the run, to scramble and turn nothing into absolute wizardry, we don't need to say how amazing he was and how heartbreaking it was to lose him in week 14. And 2018, the most important relationship on a team is quarterback to offensive coordinator. And that was damaged because losing Frank Reich, they promote, of course, Mike Groh. And at that point, Wentz is on the sideline. From week 14 in 2017 all the way through week 3, that Eagles team belonged to Nick Foles. Not in a sense of he was the guy, in a sense that that's their QB1, in a sense that we have to mold this offense around him, because if we don't, we're not going to get the most out of this team. So the playbook was simplified. Players became naturally accustomed to how Foles threw the ball, to the timing on the routes, to where the ball would be placed. That changes with Carson Wentz, and after not working out in preseason, after not being able to fully partake in training camp, he goes into week 3 with a team still missing some vital pieces, with an offensive coordinator who's then having to remold the offense once again. Carson Wentz now gets a full year with his offensive coordinator, with the new guys like Deshaun Jackson, with his rookie tight end from last year, Dallas Goedert, with his friend Zach Ertz, with Alshon Jeffrey, with Nelson. This is going to be an immense season for Carson Wentz. The question is, do the Eagles say, we know it's going to be that season, but we still need some solidity, so let's buy you now. Let's go all in on Carson Wentz right now. Let's cash in on that value and add some incentives. Or do you wait for the inevitable to happen? And if you do, if you take that gamble, and especially if the Cowboys get there first, especially if you look at some of the other quarterbacks in this league and the money they're going to be paid, we're going to see a very different argument. Technically, there is a 2-year window of luxury. The Eagles could pick up a 5th-year option and then tag him if needs be. That would buy them an extra 2 years. And I would look at that as, you know what, it's not the worst thing in the world. We know that this team is struggling for cap space. That isn't going to change in the foreseeable future. And if they do want to bring Wentz back long term, extracting the cheapest value they can, it does kind of make sense, right? However, in doing that, it is going to be upfront guaranteed. It's not like you can move that money around like Howie Roseman does so well. So they're going to lose some out on that front. If I'm honest, I think I can see it being a 5th-year option and then a long-term extension. I don't think the Eagles quite have the guns to go straight into a negotiation, but I would love it. If I'm a general manager and I have a star and I know this kid's a star, he's proven it to me, it's just been a couple of setbacks. To me, that's like, I'm going to get this star for cheaper because of those setbacks. I'm going to be able to get Carson Wentz, let's say $20 to $25 million a year this year, with playoff incentives, with snap count incentives, and then go from there. Make it, give it as much optionality as possible. Make this clause as open as you can, where Wentz has to play for that long-term money, has to play for that big-time dollar. And I think that's the way to do it. If I'm a general manager, I'm straight into that negotiation because I know I've seen what Carson Wentz can do, and the minute he can prove that as a full-time starter with no setbacks, with no ACLs, with no back injuries, it's game over for the NFL. And if you can't cash in that now, if you can't lock that contract down, and then you're having to tag and you're having to take options, you're going to start hurting yourself, you're going to start compromising other areas of the team, and ultimately, Wentz is going to say, well, now I've got a 3-year arsenal of dominant years. That could be an MVP campaign, an NFC championship, and a whole bunch of accolades. And if you are not prepared to cough up the money then, because you have spent 3 years avoiding doing so, that's when things are going to get messy. So if I'm Howie Roseman, I am all in on the Carson Wentz train. But I want to know what you guys think. Would you extend Carson Wentz right now? Or are you going to let him play out this season at least? Is it an option? Is it a franchise tag? What do the Eagles do with Carson Wentz? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed this kind of content, guys, please hit subscribe. Leave a like. Let me know what you think. From myself, Liam Jenkins, I'll see you next time.